I believe that art is a form of prayer and that artists are oracles sending divine messages out into the world. Hello, I'm Grace Denka. Welcome to Art and Soul. Hello, welcome to the Grace Denka Show. So today I have a guest with me. His name is Eelke van Hoof. He's based in the Netherlands and he's joining me here online to talk about his work, what inspires him and how he got into art. So thank you, Eelke, for joining me here today. So can you tell us a little bit about what inspires you and how you got into art?
Mostly I get inspired by my own internal processes. I go through a lot of processes, especially for the last 20 years, and they gave me the urge to paint. So I'm inspired by other artists, but mainly by my own internal processes.
Okay, so how did you get started?
With painting or with the process?
How did you get started and when did you get into art?
I got into art by visiting a friend of mine who was a painter, and at that time I was going through some really big internal changes. My whole energy was changing. I had these upwellings of internal energy. Some call it Kundalini energy awakenings. And at the same time I was visiting him and I saw him painting. And he had a totally different style than I have, but still I didn't want to paint what he was painting, but the sheer fact that he was painting inspired me to start painting.
Okay, how did you know you were going through the shift? Were you already aware of that before, or was it after you started the painting?
I was already aware of it. I was going through some minor shifts already prior to me starting painting. But in 2000 and 2001, I got some really heavy heart palpitations, and I noticed I was reacting to some energetic changes that were happening on the earth.
Right.
So basically, those energetic changes fired off a whole new creativity inside of me.
Okay, so how has that changed for you now since you started painting? How has that influenced what you've been going through or went through, or that phase or that shift that you were experiencing? How did painting affect that?
I think the painting for me was an outlet of the energies that I was feeling. So I was incorporating those energies into my system, and then they needed to be expressed.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's an expression of the energy that is bringing change to this planet. And it's going through most of us, but not all of us at the same time. So I'm just expressing that energy. It's the energy of change and evolution.
Right. So your work, your art, is mainly inspired by emotions, by feelings, and by energy that you feel within yourself. So it is an internal inspiration as opposed to external objects.
Yes, indeed.
Influencing you? Would you say that?
Yes, absolutely. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's from emotions. I try to paint from energy and feelings that are coming from a place beyond emotions, beyond the normal human emotions.
How would you describe that?
It's very hard to describe, but you can describe those feelings as exhilaration, a deeper knowing of connectedness.
Okay. Okay.
Those kind of feelings. I wouldn't necessarily label them emotions.
Yeah, but it's a feeling, isn't it?
Yes, it's a feeling.
Connected
Definitely.
to feeling, because that's how I know energy. Energy is something that you feel, isn't it?
Yes, right.
And a knowing as well. It is a knowing and a feeling, but maybe it's not necessarily emotion, like you say. Not that I know the difference between emotion and
Yeah. Most of the
emotion
emotion is associated with grief, guilt, fear, those kind of things. But it's beyond that.
Yeah. Okay. So you express these feelings, this energy on canvas.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, the moment I'm expressing it, those feelings are not always really known by me. It's when I express it and make a painting and start looking at the painting that I get a feedback of the feelings that I've actually expressed. Yeah, so it sometimes takes a while to feel what the painting is actually telling me, what I have been channeling.
That's very interesting. That is absolutely interesting. So you're actually learning from your paintings, you're learning from your work.
Absolutely.
And insight into what you might not have been aware of.
Absolutely.
Isn't it? So how would you say, how would that influence the audience, the observer of your work?
Yeah, that's very interesting because first and foremost, it influences me. And every painting I make, I have to look at for an X period of time for it to let those feelings sink in to myself. And then later it starts to play a whole different role for other people, and which varies from person to person. So they get their own associations with it. But what strikes me is that a lot of my paintings are indicative of where people are in their own process. So they recognize their own process in my painting.
Okay. So does your work have a message, or is it just out there speaking for itself? How would you describe your work?
I think the message is that it's about a condensed form of energy that I channel, and I put those energies in colors and shapes. And those colors and shapes, they kind of speak of new energies that are flooding into the earth.
Okay.
But everybody has their own individual interpretation.
Yes. That's what I suspected. That each one has their own interpretation. So observing your work, one has to take out of it what is meant for him or her.
Yes, exactly.
It speaks in different languages, so to speak. You know, it speaks in different forms, and it might not mean the same thing for another person like it means for you. It might not be the same message. You know, so that's what I really think about art. When art is being created in this form, like you do, expressing energy on canvas, it has its own job to do. It has its own task. For you, obviously, giving you insight into its creation and the meaning and message behind it, probably, or what the message meant for you, or what you can take out of it. And also it has its own purpose, its own, goal for the world, for other people. So, and it's not always the same, wouldn't you say, for each individual?
Absolutely.
Everyone would have their own unique interpretation of an artwork and what exactly they take out of it. So sometimes it can be transformative, and it just depends. It just depends on, some people will tell you. I actually met an artist years ago who told me he got into art by just observing an artwork, and that just moved him beyond words.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like a force, he said, and he can remember exactly which artwork and which artist and where he was standing and where he was looking at it. And I find that so powerful because it transformed him, obviously. But what was that? You know,
No.
was it an artwork? You see what I mean? So what was that? So was it an artwork? Was it something that was meant for him? Was it energy? Was it, you know, what was that moved him? So the artist did not intend to do that to him, right? So he just painted, just you know, putting his creation out there. And but it could act like a form of oracle, if you like, you know, it's something that is just put out there, and it just goes into different directions, you know, with different intentions, you know, like, but the central message is there, right? But it's just interpreted in different ways by different people.
Yeah.
For that person, for that artist that got transformed into an artist by just an artwork, that artwork might not have done the same thing to someone else.
Exactly.
You know, someone else who had observed that artwork at the same maybe period of time, you know, it would not have been transformed in that manner. It might have just evoked something in the person, but wouldn't have been, oh my goodness, that I'm now, you know, going to really. So it's just energy. I think is somehow, it's not restricted to just one thing, you know. I mean, we're all connected somehow in form of, you know, energetically, isn't it? So whatever you put out there in form of a creation, be it an artwork, you're trying to speak to someone else energetically. You know, even sometimes the artists are not even aware of it. They're not even aware of what it is and how it is that they're speaking to someone, but they are being used. You know, they're like vessels.
Absolutely.
Artists, but you know, there are some that I've encountered that I just know they have such a strong influence, you know, and sometimes you don't even realize it, but you can just feel, you know, like a strong force that is guiding them. I don't know if you've also experienced that. Obviously you have, because that's how you got into painting, right? That's
how I got into it. It was just a force that compelled me to paint, and I couldn't stop. And my mind didn't understand what was happening. But the force was, luckily I listened to that force. And that's still how I paint. I never paint for my mind. If I don't feel like painting, I don't paint. Even if it's for 4 months in a row, I don't paint. If that force is knocking on my door, I feel like I'm a vessel and I have to express that energy. That's basically how it works. And a lot of it I don't understand. That's the mystery. You don't understand what you're doing, and apparently I don't have to.
Yeah,
it speaks for itself.
And that's the thing. You know, being used as a vessel, I think that's the perfect description for it. Because, you know, what you know, makes people paint? What do you get out of it? I mean, okay, there is a monetary aspect of it, but also there is a soulful element of it, isn't it? That is beyond the money that you get paid for now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, those are totally separate worlds for me.
Absolutely. I mean, for most artists, basically. I mean, there are commercial artists, obviously.
Yeah.
They're just paying for, you know, like, but most artists, I think, is a soulful thing. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And I know that the more I let go of my ego emotions, or transcend those ego emotions, the better I become a vessel for my soul.
Yeah.
That's how it works for me personally. I know it doesn't work for every artist, because not every artist works from the same vantage point. But for me, that's the whole reason why I started painting. And that's a process of attunement over the years.
Yeah.
Tuning to my soul, and the more I tune, the more the energy flows, and the more it gets easily expressed into a painting.
Yeah. You have a painting behind you.
Yes.
You want to talk a little bit about that one?
Yes, of course.
Do you have any other one that you'd like to? You have a couple of paintings that you sent to me. I'm going to put that on the screen in a bit. So, but just tell me about that painting that you have in.
Yeah, I'll just put my chair away a bit. This painting is called Pajama. It's Slovenian, I believe, for before a cave. So I felt this was a cave with light coming from the outside into the cave, or maybe the other way around. But mostly I pick a name intuitively. I have a whole bunch of titles that I get from everywhere, and then when I have a certain association with a painting and a title, I can feel that they match. But in this case, I had a cave-like feeling with this painting.
Yeah.
But it's also maybe also a journey that I'm constantly taking to the light, or which is another word for consciousness for me.
Yeah.
And in most paintings you see, most paintings of me. Can you see my face?
Yeah, now I can see your face. Yeah.
Okay. In most paintings, I have a strong source of light.
Yeah.
And I think that's indicative of the light growing in me and consciousness growing in me. And when I'm speaking technically about this painting, I work with a lot of water, because water helps me to let that energy inside me flow more easily.
Yeah.
So the base of the painting is done with a lot of water. I work with water mixable oil paint. So these structures that you see here, you can still see the marks of the water very clearly. I don't know if you can see it from there.
Yes, I can see it, yeah.
There's still the flow there. And after that, I let it dry about 10 days. And then I apply transparent layers with oil, and I apply them with mostly with a brush.
Do you work with oil painting, or do you work with acrylics?
Oils, but it's water mixable oil.
Okay.
Yeah, so then I have this kinds of effects.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's lovely.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's when I start, I have no idea of anything basically. It's just seconds before I start, I have no idea even what colors I'm going to use.
Yeah.
And I have no idea, of course, what is the top and the bottom. That all changes throughout the process of the painting.
Yeah. Do you have you can have a seat. You can.
Okay.
You can have a seat. Yeah. So we can see your face. So, do you have any exhibitions? Do you do exhibitions, or how do you show your paintings to the public, or you just paint for yourself?
I have had some exhibitions. I always try to feel if I have a click with a gallery or a location where I can exhibit my works. So, but the last couple of last year, I also tried to show my work online, so I'm kind of figuring out a kind of balance between physical locations and showing my work online.
Okay. I think a lot is going on online nowadays. Since the pandemic, it's just, a lot of artists are going online, a lot of exhibitions are taking place online. But I'm still the old school kind of person. I like having physical exhibitions.
Me too.
I like the interpersonal relationship, the real physical thing. I mean, I also use do the online stuff and a lot of things online, but I believe in I just prefer having exhibitions physically. So I still do that. I've had a lot of offers to change into a virtual platform, which I will consider eventually, because the future is moving virtual. It's just moving. The future is moving online. More and more.
Probably.
Yeah, more and more operations are all online. So it's something that I will consider to have a virtual platform eventually. But I just there is nothing, as powerful as having a group of people together, celebrating art and, observing the artworks, like seeing it live.
Absolutely.
Really seeing it live,
There's a difference. Yeah. There's a difference worth seeing painting, especially my paintings. They are, I have worked with a lot of structure in it, and you have to see it.
To see it, exactly, to feel it live, and it's so magical. There's something special about that. So that's why I keep doing that. But eventually I'll see where the future, moves me to, and just, like adapt to that. But right now there's still demand for the physical meetings and the physical exhibitions and all of that. So, and so for my gallery, it's not only just having an exhibition, but also connecting people, through art. And that's why I have all this vernissage and all these events and all this, because it's so important to be able to network, to bring people together. And like minds coming together is something so powerful, so magical. And so that's why I just keep doing that. And I think I'll keep doing that for a long, long time. So before the internet and technology takes over, we'll see.
I hope so. I hope it will. I hope so. It will be a hybrid form into the future, because I like physical exhibitions the most. I hope I will be around.
Well, there's another painting. I just saw that now. It's a bit darker.
Yeah, that's the first layer, and
it's just the first layer. You're still working on it.
Yeah, I'm still working on it.
Okay. Yeah.
It's dark because I used black gesso and as a base.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it looks quite interesting. It's a huge contrast to what I know your paintings to be.
I've just started working with black gesso, and it creates this really mysterious dark vibe to my painting. I really dig it.
It's nice. I love it. Okay, well, thank you, Eelke, for allowing me to interview you. And so what does the future look like for you? Which direction are you going with your art?
I have no clue.
You're just going with the flow.
I'm going with the flow. Yeah, to whichever feels right.
Fantastic. Just go with the flow and see what the future brings, isn't it?
Absolutely.
One day at a time.
That's how I live. That's basically my motto.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for watching and see you next time. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und bis zum nächsten Mal.